What's up guys and welcome back to the channel, where in today's video we will be covering chapter 5 of the Book of Boba Fett. For anyone who has not yet seen this episode, heavy spoilers are to follow, so proceed at your own risk. With that being said, however, we will now jump into this review. In the closing moments of last week's episode, the return of Din Djarin was teased, as the Mandalorian's theme played over the closing shot, in which Fennec and Boba discussed their need for more muscle if they were to protect their new territory. And this episode wasted no time in revealing the return of the Mandalorian. From the very beginning, we see that Din Djarin has now gone back to bounty hunting after the conclusion of Season 2 of The Mandalorian, in which Luke Skywalker took Grogu to begin his Jedi training. He succeeds in locating and capturing his bounty, although this time he does bring him in cold. In this encounter, Din actually wields the Darksaber, and he's not very good at it at this point, and he actually ends up slicing his own leg with the weapon. Later on, Din returns to the Mandalorian armorer, and he is challenged to a duel by the other surviving Mandalorian who helped save him and Grogu in Season 1 of The Mandalorian on Navarro. So Din is challenged to this duel, and he ends up winning. But he then reveals when he's asked that he actually has removed his helmet, and at that point the armorer declares that he is no longer a Mandalorian. Din then ventures to Tatooine, where he reunites with the engineer woman at the Mos Eisley spaceport, and he purchases and then helps construct a new ship, which he's hoping was a Razor Crest, but actually turns out to be a Naboo starfighter. He's very skeptical about it at first, but he takes that out for a test run, and he really comes to like it. The ship is extremely fast, something he's not used to, and that was a pretty fun thing to see. I really enjoyed that part of this episode. He then comes back to Tatooine, and he finds Fennec Shand waiting for him, at which point she offers a considerable payment for Din to help Boba defend Mos Espa from the Pikes. Din thinks about it only for a second, and then he says he will do the work for free, but first he has to go visit a little friend. And then at that point the episode ends, and I sat there with my mouth hanging open for 30 seconds, because I just never imagined that we would be seeing Grogu again this soon, and obviously that's what that's alluding to. Din actually makes multiple references to Grogu in this episode. He has the armorer make a gift for Grogu out of the Beskar spear that he won when he had his run-in with Ahsoka back in Season 2, and all indications now point to Din going to find Grogu in this next episode. I think it's also worth mentioning that the droid carrier in his new starfighter was hollowed out because Din doesn't like droids, and my prediction is that Grogu will now be seen within the droid carrier very, very soon. Overall, my thoughts on this episode are, I mean, it was probably my favorite episode so far. I would have liked to see a little bit more of Boba Fett, as we didn't see him at all actually, and this is the Book of Boba Fett. This was more like the Book of the Mandalorian, which is fine, of course. I'm a fan of Din Djarin, and I was hoping to see him in this show, and he's obviously going to be in it for these final 2 episodes coming up here, but I did expect to see a little bit of Boba Fett at least. Again, I'm happy with the direction that this episode went, and I probably think it is the best one. It just surprised me that we didn't get to see any Boba Fett at all. My thoughts on this episode are still a little all over the place. I'll probably watch it again later on or tomorrow or something like that and gather my thoughts a little bit more. Again, I think I've said this like 3 times now, but it probably was my favorite episode. I don't know, I really enjoy, I've liked them all in some way or another, but I thought episode 2 and 4 were really, really good. But I really like this episode, and I like what it seems like it's building towards. We've heard many times now that The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka are going to come together for this big climactic event, and this is the first time in the Book of Boba Fett that we've clearly seen these stories being connected, as obviously Din Djarin and Boba Fett come together. But going back to Grogu for a minute, I really think it looks like Grogu is going to go back with Din Djarin in this next episode. It's very clear to me that they are not going to have Din just forget about Grogu anymore. That's going to be a storyline that they continue to pursue in the future, so it definitely is coming a lot sooner than expected. Whether he goes back with Din or not, I didn't expect them to have any face-to-face encounters at all this quickly after their departure. Now, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. It is very possible that Chapter 6 will come back to Boba Fett and Fennec Shand, and we will then await the return of the Mandalorian, and we won't see an interaction between Din Djarin and Luke Skywalker and Grogu at all, and it's possible that Grogu won't come back with Din, and we'll just only see Din Djarin in Chapter 6 and or Chapter 7, and that's a possibility as well. Again, I will be surprised if we don't see Grogu, whether it be just a short interaction between Din and Grogu, and then Din leaves him again, or if Grogu does come back with Din Djarin. If it doesn't happen here in the Book of Boba Fett, I still think that will happen down the road, and I think that's being set up with the gutting out of that spot for the droid in Din's new starship. But we shall see, you know, it could go either way. Obviously, everyone wants to see Grogu again, but if it doesn't happen here, then, you know, it's not a game changer, it's not a deal breaker. It would be weird because I think they really did set it up, but, you know, we'll see what happens. I also saw a rumor a few days ago, and don't get your hopes up on this, don't get too excited, it's just pure hearsay. I didn't really even look into the rumor because I didn't think it would be true, but I did see a rumor that a young Ben Solo could be featured in either episode 6 or 7 of the Book of Boba Fett, and that could potentially make sense now. Obviously, it probably wouldn't be a big role, but we could see a little flash of a young Ben Solo along with Luke Skywalker and Grogu in this next episode, and that rumor now holds a little bit of water. It seems to make a little bit of sense. I'm just putting it out there because I know a lot of my viewers are big Ben Solo fans, so again, don't get your hopes up, don't get too excited about that, but it could happen. But I am going to go ahead and wrap this video up here, so let me know what you guys thought about this week's episode in the comments section below, and what you think we will see going forward, or just what you would like to see going forward, either one. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to drop a thumbs up before you go, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and remember, the Force will be with you always.